Hello people. Welcome to the Arsenal art. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. I think it's been a couple days, maybe even a bit longer since we've done a video, live stream, anything, talking about Arsenal transfers, what's been going on. But to be fair, there hasn't been too much going on in the world of football. In terms of other news in the world, there's a lot going on. But in terms of football and Arsenal and transfers, it's not been too much. So yeah, any issues, guys, let me know in the chat as always. Everything looks good on my side, to be fair, today. Mic sounds good, or looks like it sounds good. Intro, I think, went smooth enough. So yeah, everything seems to be going very, very nicely. But yeah, man, welcome to the Arsenal art as always. And yeah, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Finally, Arsenal giving us something to talk about. Beggy saying, hi mate, how are you? I'm good, man. I'm good. Come back from a Power League session, tired, but then I've come back to some good news. So I was like, you know what, might as well get the stream up. Let's get going and start talking about Arsenal and everything around the club. But yeah, man, hope you're well as well. But yeah, as I said, guys, make sure hit the like and subscribe button, all of that. But yeah, we'll just get straight into it. Man, it is what it is right now for Arsenal Football Club. But yeah, let's have a look what's going on, man. Let's have a look. So this came out today. So there was a tweet by Fabrizio Romano, as always. He came out and said Viktor Gyokeres' priority is to join Arsenal this summer, despite calls from Manchester United in the recent weeks. Gyokeres always an option amid Sesko talks with no deal sealed so far. Arsenal keep assessing the situation. United remain keen but believe a deal now is unlikely. So you know what it was? In the last few days, I started seeing some things about Gyokeres. So long story short, we've been doing streams for now a few weeks in terms of just Gyokeres, Sesko, and all of this. So at the beginning, it was Gyokeres is a Berta target. Andrea Berta, Arsenal's new director of football from Atletico Madrid. He seems to want Viktor Gyokeres at the club. But then on the other hand, we have Mikel Arteta, who seems to be pushing for Sesko. And Sesko is someone we've been linked to in the past. He's a player that we've talked about before as well on this channel. I've talked about, I believe, even on previous channels and with other people as well about Sesko. So it looked like there was a bit of a tug of war between the two. And then all of a sudden, we heard news that no, Sesko is definitely the number one target. Everyone's in agreement, and Arsenal are pushing for Sesko. But then again, as I said, in the last few days, I started hearing rumblings and reading stuff saying that actually Arsenal, they've not even submitted a proper bid for Sesko. They're just having a little discussions here and there. It's not really that serious. Nothing's really moving along right now. Of course, they like the player. There's also another player at Leipzig, the Nusa. I believe the Norwegian kid, they like him as well. So they're looking at different players as well. But then at the same time, in the last few days, I started hearing Arsenal are more in contact with Gyokeres, even from the likes of Fabrizio saying Arsenal are, in contact with Gyokeres' people, blah, blah, blah. You start seeing things, coming out. And it seemed to be, I started getting confused. To be honest, right, when it gets like that, I just ignore the situation. I ignore the situation because I'm just thinking, nah, it doesn't make sense yet. Let's just wait to see what happens, because one minute you're telling me Sesko 100% he's the number one target, we're gonna go get him. Next minute we're not actually really that serious about Sesko right now. We're talking to Gyokeres. So obviously we're working on two deals. That's what it seems like. The club are working on two deals. Whichever one makes the most sense, that's probably the one they're gonna go for. They talk about Sesko in terms of long-term potential, but Gyokeres right now, he is what he is. Like, he's ready made. He's ready to come to the Premier League and he's ready to smash it up. So for me, coming into the transfer window, if you told me Sesko or Gyokeres right now for Arsenal Football Club, I'm going Viktor Gyokeres, right? I said that time and time again. But of course, I understand the potential of Sesko. I understand his raw attributes. I understand all of that, right? But for me, as I said, this whole situation has been a bit suspicious. A little bit suspicious over the last few days in terms of the rumors. And then what's made it really interesting as well, and we'll come on to another article. Let me just move along here. It should just change. I'm just double check. So yeah, there was all these reports, right, from sporting side that coming into the window, there was a fixed price around 65 million euros. I believe it was 65 million euros for Gyokeres. It looked like that was a figure that would get him out the club. And then all of a sudden, the sporting president and all of these guys are saying, no, we're not selling him for 65 million. No way. We're selling him for a lot more than that. And that's caused Gyokeres and his people to say, no, that's not what we agreed. We have it in writing. I even saw his agent coming out saying, no, we have it in writing that Sporting agreed, to sell us at this price, not to sell us at 80, 85 and all of this sort of nonsense. They already agreed with us. So it looks like a tug of war there between Sporting, between Gyokeres, between his people, in terms of now, Sporting now seeing there's an opportunity for them for maybe to get more money, maybe start a little bit of a bidding war. And that's obviously, in my opinion, it's a scummy move. It's a scummy move from a team like Sporting Lisbon or Sporting. I don't know, they don't like to be called Sporting Lisbon, right? To do such a thing to a player like Gyokeres. You've already, you've enjoyed him. He scored the goals. You signed him on the cheap, obviously, from Coventry, took a chance in him, fair play, right? But now is the chance for Sporting. Just do the right thing. Let him go. Let him go. Let him be free. Let him do his thing. You know what I mean? Let me just read this comment here. Beggy saying, hope you're having a better day than me. Hopefully, man, your day is not too bad, man. It gets better. Who do you think we should get? As I said, for me, Gyokeres is the one we should get. And yeah, there's a chance we can get him for 55 million. Exactly. So, as I said, for me, like, it's clear as day. Like, Gyokeres, for me, was always going to be the first choice target if I was in charge. I agreed with the likes of Berta. They're saying, listen, Gyokeres ready-made. He scored all of these goals in Portugal. I know it's a Portuguese league. Done it in the Champions League. Sesko, yes, he's a good player, but he's not really done anything so far in his career to warrant such a massive move. Yes, in 2, 3, 4 years, Sesko might turn out to be like let's say an Alexsandro Isak right now, where he's really, doing something. But maybe that's when Arsenal should sign him. Right now, we need to win trophies next season. We need to win the Premier League. We need to win, the Champions League. We haven't got time to be wasting on projects and, this guy's got potential. No, we need someone who's going to come in. Viktor Gyokeres, he might have his weaknesses here and there, but you know what he does? He's a number 9, gets in the box, brilliant finisher. You get him in. It's simple as that, in my opinion. So for me, I would get Gyokeres in, and it looks like there is a chance, to be fair, that all of that could happen for the club. So yeah, man, let's get into this article just a little bit. Let me just have a little read. So this is from a few days ago now. So this is when there was controversy in terms of what's happening with Gyokeres and his people and his agents and all of that, right? So it says here, Sporting's club president insists he has received no offers for Viktor Gyokeres and says his side will not succumb to blackmail and insults as speculation over the future of their star striker continues. Obviously he's 27 years old now, one of the Europe's hottest properties. He scored 54 goals in 52 games. So, that is something very, very special. In any league, in any top league in Europe, to score that many goals, it doesn't matter what. I'm sorry, if you're playing Portuguese league, you're playing Italian, you're playing, Spanish league, French, bro, it doesn't matter. Even Holland, even someone scored 50, bro, this is serious numbers. And as I said, you see the way he plays, the responsibility he takes for his team, and even the things the Sporting fans, they say about him. I take that into consideration as well. A lot of Sporting fans are saying this is the best player they've seen, and they've seen a lot of players. It's not like they're, as I said, they're not like some little club. They've never had any good players. They've had a lot of good players. So for them, a lot of their fans saying this is one of the best players they've ever seen. I think that's something that you take into consideration. And obviously, the likes of Ruben Amorim at Man United, he's worked with him before. He knows all about him. He wanted to take him to Man United. Obviously, this article a few days ago, they didn't know what obviously was going to happen a few days later. But yeah, reports in Portugal here has claimed that Gyokeres could go on strike to force a move away amidst suggestions that the club had previously agreed to let him leave if a set valuation was met. However, the Sporting people say nope, this has not been the case. I want to make one thing clear. We at Sporting have common sense. So Veranda said in quotes, carried by Portuguese newspaper Record, we said two things at the start of the season, that we would not demand 100 million euros and that the value would depend on the performance of Viktor. Okay, how did he perform? 63 goals, 17 assists, fantastic form. One of the best seasons in the history of Portuguese football. Even then, Sporting will not demand his release clause. But people should know that threats, blackmail and insults will not work with me. I can guarantee one thing. Viktor Gyokeres won't leave here for 60 million euros plus 10 million in add-ons. He won't. and the game the agent is playing will only make the situation worse. As of now, we haven't had one offer for him. So I think that's a very, very, very strong statement from Sporting, obviously coming out saying the price that everyone thought, was agreed, the 65 million or whatever it was, 60 plus 10, whatever what it was, right? That's not the going rate for Gyokeres, because it seemed like a simple deal. I was wondering, what's the hold up on Gyokeres? Isn't there a set price for a striker like this? They already agreed. It seemed very amicable. Everyone seemed to be in agreement, in alignment with each other. It seemed like a deal that an Arsenal would just come in, pay the money. Arsenal as of late, we like the release clause. We did it with Party a few years ago. Zubimendi's coming in now. That's another release clause. We'll talk about Nico Williams potentially coming to Arsenal. Doesn't look likely, but again, that would be another release clause. I think this is something that I thought, what, the club as of late, they've shown when it gets to a situation with a release clause, it seems to be something that they know how to work around, and it's something that they do quite easily at this moment in time. But yeah, it goes on to say here, Gyokeres scored 97 goals in 102 games since moving to Sporting from Coventry in 2023. And yeah, he's helped them lift the Primera Liga title last year and win the league and cup double this time round. So yeah, obviously he's won the trophies. He's had brilliant performances. But I think this quote here, just saying, this whole quote here is mad. Like the Sporting director coming out saying, no chance he leaves for that 60 million euros plus 10. That makes me think, I don't know. At the same time, it's not like Sesko's cheap, guys. It's not like Sesko's cheap. We've seen with Sesko, we've seen with his agent, we've seen with Leipzig that they're saying sometimes, I've seen reports of 93 million, I've seen reports of 80 million. It's not like Sesko's going to be a cheap deal as well. It's going to be a deal that's going to be tough on all sides, for Arsenal to do. And if Sporting are playing hardball and they're not going to stick by the terms that, I think personally, reading into it, they definitely agreed. I think everyone had a sense that 65 million would have been the money to get Gyokeres out of Sporting. I think that was clear. You read the likes of Fabrizio in the past. I think you read the reports from all the big journalists. That was the number that was being touted around. They wasn't talking about Sporting, upping the price out of nowhere just because Gyokeres is having a great season. He's performing even better than expected. There was never any reports about that. It was always a deal that seemed simple. So I think from Sporting side, if I was reading into it right, I would say Sporting have done the a bit of a snaky move, so to speak of, and I think they've gone behind Gyokeres and his agents back and said, no, you know what, you can't go for that price. We can get 80 million, 90 million out of you. If Arsenal are willing to bid 80, 90 million potentially for someone like Sesko, surely they're going to be willing to bid maybe even a 75 for someone like Gyokeres. So why should we, as Sporting, stick to what we agreed with? And that's why, to be honest, right, a lot of people talk about players not being loyal. People talk about players not, why do they always want more money? Why do they always, sometimes they'll leave a club. Like you see now Trent Alexander-Arnold gone from obviously Liverpool to Real Madrid, and everyone's on his case. Obviously he's gone for, I think, reasons more than just football, obviously lifestyle, brand, all of that sort of stuff, right? At the end of the day, these teams, they don't look out for players. How many times have we seen it? Even Harry Kane, when he was at Tottenham, right? There was a year I think he could have left, or he was meant to leave, and Tottenham were like, no, you're not leaving. We need you. And, they force him to stay. And it can go the other way as well, where a player's deemed surplus to requirements. All of a sudden, the manager doesn't like him. Arsenal, you see with Aubameyang, what did Arteta do to him? Aubameyang was someone who was our top goal scorer, captain, 14 on the back, FA Cup winner. He dragged us to at least one trophy that we didn't see we saw it quite a bit for the last few years, but, he helped us at least win another trophy. He was helping the team in probably the worst Arsenal team squad I've seen in my life. Just be a bit respectable. Aubameyang was doing all of that for Arsenal Football Club. Has a little bit of an argument with Mikel Arteta. Misses maybe training, comes a bit late here and there. Relationships finish, blah blah blah, and all of a sudden, boom, he's out the club. Gone just like that. And sometimes that's what football's like. And it has to come from both sides. The clubs and the players, they all have to be, you know, we'd love it if everyone was just honest, you know, but at the end of the day, it's a business. And Sporting, in my opinion, from what I can just read and just gather from all of this, I think they've done the dirty. I think they've done the dirty on Gyokeres here, and we'll have to wait and see when Arsenal, are we actually going to bid for this guy, because we don't know the price now. We don't know the price. It was meant to be 60 plus 10 or 65 million. What are we going to pay now for Gyokeres? Are we going to pay, what are we going to pay? 70, 75, 80? Where does it stop? We don't know what we're paying for him. And the same thing for Sesko. 1 minute they're quoting 60, 65. Next minute I'm seeing 80. Next minute I'm seeing 90. Like, nobody knows. These prices seem so, you know, made up. And there's another thing. I've said it before. I've said it before on other streams, right? A lot of these players, like every transfer seems to be 60 million. Minimum 60 million. And that's your new player. But yeah, it's mad. Let me read some more of your comments, guys, man. King Brian, how far for Gyokeres? What do you mean how far in terms of how far the deal's coming along for Arsenal? If you mean in terms of how far the deal's coming along for Arsenal right now, there's not much to speak on. The only thing that we can say, Gyokeres wants to play for Arsenal. Let me get the tweet up again if I can from Fabrizio's side. So yeah, I can get the tweet up again. So yeah, from Gyokeres' side, he wants to play for Arsenal Football Club. You know, he wants to come to the club. He's rejected Manchester United, because if he really just wanted to move, he could go to Man United this summer. Easy. Man United's waiting for him. His old manager's there. You know, he could have just gone there. But he wants to come to Arsenal Football Club. He wants to help us win the Premier League, win the Champions League. He believes he can be that number 9 to push us to the next level. But from Arsenal's point of view, I don't think they're 100% sold on Gyokeres. And I don't think they're even 100% sold on Sesko. I think it's one of them ones they're just looking at what's the best deal. Because in my head, right, and some people, me included, like I'll get angry saying it, you know, Mikel Arteta, there's no way in his head that he's really going to be dropping Kai Havertz, right? I think next season, regardless of what we think of, you know, of him as fans, Arteta is going to live or die by the Kai Havertz transfer. And I think Kai Havertz, with his wage, with his, you can call it unique qualities if you want to, really. I think Kai Havertz is going to play a lot of minutes for Arsenal, whether we sign Gyokeres or whether we sign Sesko. You know, Marino as well has done a good job up front. I think for Arteta, he's maybe even looking at the striker situation thinking, you know, it's not maybe that big of a deal. I think even, if I can get it up, I will. There was something about Jack Wilshere. They asked him the same question about, you know, this whole number 9 debate on Arsenal. Do we need a 9? And I think he said something like, it's not really that big of a deal. It's not just a number 9 that's going to help Arsenal you know, go over the line, which, to be fair, I agree with it to an extent. You know, like, yeah, it's not just a number 9 that will, you know, it will be the only reason that we do or do not get over the line. There's going to be other factors as well. But this season, man, sometimes it's like playing with 10 men. You don't have a striker. You don't have a striker who can bail you out. There's games where it's 0-0. There's games it's 1-1. We're struggling to find a goal. We're struggling to find anything. You need your striker. You need your attackers. I agree. You need your left winger, your right winger, but you need your striker to just do something for you. And we've had that in the past. As I said, with the worst Arsenal squad that I saw Aubameyang time and time again. When we needed something, Aubameyang would do it by himself. He would find a way to get us a goal. You know, we saw it before. He wasn't a striker, but Alexis Sanchez, sometimes the team was down. He would say, you know what, I'm going to carry the team. I'm going to get us a goal. And that's what we're missing right now. We don't really have a player, apart from Saka, and the responsibility Saka has is different. He doesn't really have a free role in the team. He can't just do what he wants. He has a rigid system. He has a rigid position to play. You know, he has to stick to the touchline. He has a couple moves that he can do. So he's not even got the freedom. But the one position where someone potentially could have a lot of freedom to do what they want, you know, pop into little holes, you know, behind the defense, go in behind, cause problems, is the number 9 position. That's why when people are watching Arsenal Football Club, we're saying we need a striker, because the striker position seems to be maybe the only position where Arteta's system is not forcing that striker to do, you know, just one thing. They can do what you're free. You're free to play. You're free to play. So if you have a player of quality there, I can imagine them doing something really special there. So that's just my opinion, and that's why I think someone like Gyokeres, yes, he may have his weaknesses. in the air, people say in the air, okay, all of this sort of stuff. But you get him in behind. You get him one-on-one with a goalkeeper. You give him a chance to shoot. More often than not, it's going to hit the back of the net. And that's what we're missing. We don't have that, you know what, he has a shot, the other team's in trouble. You know, we don't even have that fear factor a lot of the time, right? And that's why even when Marino went up front, you know, and that's obviously Havertz and Jesus, all of these guys were injured. Marino showed even with his little bit of quality, he was causing problems. And he's not a striker. Even though I like him there more than in midfield, but he's not a striker. You know, he's hopefully will be a good option for us off the bench next season, help us out and all of that sort of stuff. But we need that player who's gonna make a difference. So yeah, for me, Gyokeres 100%. I would just get him in, man. I would get him in. Sammy here, big you up, man. Then this guy looks like a gunman, crazy stats. Yeah, 100%. Gyokeres, his stats, second to none. Second to none. His stats are, yeah, they're special stats. Like 97 goals in 102 games, 54 goals in 52 games. Like, it doesn't matter what league you're playing in. It doesn't matter what league you could be playing. You could be playing, honestly, as I said, French league, any top European league, you're putting up them numbers for a big team. I think you have to take that seriously. So yeah, for me, that's 100% something I would do. Becky here saying, how many years will you give Gyokeres? How many years? There's no there's no how many years with Gyokeres. Gyokeres comes in, I need goals today. You know what I mean? There's no time. There's no time. And that's why I want Gyokeres. I don't want someone like Sesko who's gonna come in and, you know, Sesko, we're gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Oh, he's young. Oh, Sesko, he's not ready yet. He's come from Germany. He's not really been the main striker. He hasn't handled this sort of pressure before. He's not really led a line, you know, to the extent that we're gonna ask him to lead the line. You know, I don't want these excuses. Someone like Gyokeres comes in, we don't have that problem. He is coming in and he's gonna come in and do a job for us. So yeah, 100% for me. Gyokeres, there's no how many years. We need goals today. We need goals today. But yeah, if you mean in terms of contract or anything, I'd imagine he will sign 4 years at least at the club, 4 or 5 year deal, taking maybe to like 31, 32. I think that would be something that will probably be, you know, something that he'll agree on, and the club would be happy to obviously keep a player of that quality to that age, and then see from there. 33, 34. A lot of these players now, man, they can play a lot later because of the way the game's going, because of the health, the health tracking, the sports science, all of that stuff. They can play for way longer than expected as well. He's saying there's no axe apart from Kepa and Zubi. Yeah, it's only talking. Yeah, of course. It's only talking right now, you know, in terms of speculation, in terms of what we're gonna do. We're definitely gonna sign an attacker, whether it's gonna be Gyokeres, whether it's gonna be Sesko, whether it's gonna be a winger. I think we need 3 wingers. There's a lot of other players to actually talk about today, so it's not just Gyokeres. We have some winger talk to talk about, because yeah, there's a few wingers linked to Arsenal today, which are really, really interesting. But yeah, Kepa as well obviously coming, and Zubimendi. But you know, we saw Gyokeres with Arsenal. Gabriel shut him down. Listen, you play against Gabriel and Saliba, 99% of attackers are dying against them. I've seen Erling Haaland die against them nearly every game. So, and Haaland, we would take Haaland at Arsenal right now. We would take Haaland tomorrow. We would take him yesterday. We would take him today. And Haaland has struggled in a lot of the games now against Gabriel and Saliba. So that's not something that we can say, oh, you're struggling against the 2 best centre back pairing. Well, the best centre back pairing, in my opinion, in football right now. I think that's something that we can't really look at it too much, to be honest. Let me just read one more comment before we move on to the winger talk. Beggy here saying, also, what do you think about Hato? Oh, Hato, good player. Obviously linked to Arsenal for a while now. But it looks like, I think with Calafiori at the club, I don't really see a space for Hato, and obviously Lewis Skelly. If Arteta is not going to move Lewis Skelly into midfield, and Lewis Skelly is mainly going to play from left back, I don't really see a space for Hato, man. To be honest, even despite his talent, despite all the good things that we've heard about him, despite him himself obviously talking about, you know, he'd love to play for Arsenal, that kind of stuff, he might end up at Chelsea, to be honest. I think they, you know, with the platform that they could potentially give him, will probably be better than us. But I don't know. For me, if Hato is someone we can see playing left back, maybe I wouldn't mind signing him because Lewis Kelly, for me, if we can get him into the midfield sooner rather than later, that's a positive for us, right? But I think Arteta, he's going to go another season with Lewis Kelly in midfield. Sorry, at left back, Zubimendi in the six, Rice, Odegaard. That's going to be the situation. So I don't think he's going to want to put Lewis Kelly on the bench because the way Lewis Kelly is so physically, he's not just technically, he's absolutely unbelievable. His weight of pass, the way he breaks lines, the way he finds his attackers. Honestly, Lewis Kelly from left back, these options that he gives us on the ball is absolutely unbelievable. But then you add that with his physicality, how he's so developed for his young age. It makes no sense, right? He's so strong. You can't get bullied. He can't get bullied. So he's a player. For me, I look at Lewis Kelly thinking, yeah, especially with Arteta, the way he sees football, Lewis Kelly's going to end up playing left back next season. I think that's his position. The likes of Calafiori, he's going to end up still obviously being someone rotating more in, maybe left back one day, maybe centre back the other day, despite his great quality as well. So someone like Hato, where are you going to play? Where are you going to play? So yeah, I see him probably going Chelsea. They could probably do with him. Obviously, they've got Colwill, they've got Cucurella. But yeah, for us, I just don't see how that happens, man, at all. So yeah, let's keep it going, guys. I wanted to talk about Nico Williams here as well. I believe, let me check. I think Fabrizio as well has talked about him. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff happened with Nico Williams as well. Like, he is a player, obviously, that we've been linked to for a while now. We've been talking about, oh, Nico Williams, Arteta loves him. Arteta wants him. He doesn't want to sign anyone because he believes Nico Williams is the perfect winger for the club. But let's have a look now and see what's happening. So here we go. Fabrizio here saying, more on Nico Williams. Barcelona got clear message from the player on being open to joining the club this summer. Bayern willing to make an effort, and he's still on Arsenal's list. While Barca have their chance now, Athletic are ready to offer a new deal if he stays. So yeah, excuse me. So yeah, we've got Nico Williams here, and yeah, I don't think he wants to come to Arsenal that much, right? Because if he did, I'm pretty sure Arsenal would have made a move. I've seen reports today that Nico Williams is willing to take a pay cut to join Barcelona because they were talking about Arsenal potentially needing to pay £400,000 a week to try and get him to play for Arsenal. I think he's on 200, 250 at Athletic Club. So for me, it looks like he wants to go to Barcelona. He wants to link up with his friend Yamal, Rafinha, Lewandowski, Lopez, Pedri, all of these players, right? I think he wants to go to Barcelona. I think that's clear. Maybe after that, if Barcelona somehow can't get the deal done, maybe Arsenal can come in there. But I don't know if at that point, if he really wants £400,000 pounds a week, why bother? Why not just go and sign obviously Rodrygo or something who will be wanting similar wages, maybe not 400,000, but he'll be Rodrygo's as well. He's a top player, and Gabriel Magalhaes actually came out recently saying that he spoke to Berta, he spoke to Arsenal director saying, listen, Rodrygo, he's a phenomenon, so we need to bring him to Arsenal Football Club. So I don't know. What do you guys think, man? Do you want Nico Williams at the club? Do you want Rodrygo? I'm not bothered, to be honest, too much. I think he's a good player. I think for Mikel Arteta, right, someone like Nico Williams, I think Nico Williams is I think Nico Williams, man, he is a player. He is a player that Arteta would like because he's such a touchline winger. Such a touchline winger, man. He is someone who you give him the ball down the line and yeah, that's it. That's it for him. And he can just do what Martinelli does, but with a bit more quality. And I think that's why Arteta really wants him. But is that worth £400,000 a week? I don't know. I don't think so. Especially if you can get Rodrygo. And, if Nico Williams, as I said, he's not our first choice in terms of, Nico Williams is not, Arsenal's not his first choice, if that makes sense. I don't think there's much point pushing for it too much, man. Let him go to Barcelona. Let him go to Bayern. If he doesn't want to come to Arsenal that much, I don't think there's a reason to really push for him, even if he's got mad quality. especially if there's someone like Rodrygo on the market as well. So that's just my opinion. That's what I would do, to be honest. Let's go for Rodrygo. And yeah, let me see if there's any more updates on that situation. So Rodrygo recently, I think we talked about him. Recently, man. And they was talking about 100 million potentially. 100 million for Rodrygo. I think that's a good amount of money, man. You pay 100 million, 80, 90 million. I think 100 million euros, by the way, not pounds. I think that's fine, man. I think that's fine. You see someone like Rodrygo coming in, I think that's a player that could really help us. But also, we've been linked to this guy. You know what? Let's go to it now. There's this guy called, I've never heard of him. I will never lie to you guys. I don't even know how to spell his name. Is it Alexsandro? I ain't got a clue. Anyway, this player, let me just type his name in. He is from Lille, I believe. Same club, obviously, we signed, Gabriel Magalhaes from. And yeah, here we go. So let me get this article up. Hopefully it translates from, I think it's going to be in Portuguese. Hopefully it just translates into Arsenal. It translates into English, and then we can have a read. If not, yeah, forget it. That's not even going to show. So let me get this tweet up here, so you guys can see what I'm even looking at. So yeah, there's this tweet here by Ben Mattison here, and he's saying a Brazilian centre back at Lille linked with Arsenal, Napoli. We've seen this story before. Alexsandro Riberio is a long-term favourite of mine. One of the most both-footed passers with pinpoint accuracy on long passes on either side. So you heard it from this guy. I don't know nothing about this brother. All I see now, he's standing with Gabriel, and he's someone that we're linked with, and he's another defender. So I'm not excited. I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh my God, Alexsandro Ribeiro, he is the answer to all of our problems. Defensive depth, obviously not. So I think he's just a market opportunity for the club. I think I saw even 17 million euros. I don't know if it's going to be that cheap. If it's that cheap, then fair enough, because that might stop Arteta wasting more money on more defenders. If you can get him someone cheap, he wanted to spend 50 million on Housen, who went to Real Madrid. You want to spend that sort of money? No, you sign Gabriel's friend, 15, 16, 17 million, and we can go and do serious business and go sign the Rodrygos, the Gyokereses, and start building, a proper attack instead of just wasting our time signing more and more centre backs. So yeah, I'm not too excited about this deal. You see him here playing for Lille. What's the other picture? Yes, Gabriel there. So yeah, you see him here. He is a player that I cannot tell you much about, guys. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I can't tell you too much about this brother. If he's actually, he's going to help us or he's going to do anything. All I know is he's a defender. He's from Brazil. He's 25 years old. He plays for Lille. On paper, he's ticking boxes in terms of what sounds good. And yeah, if he's a cheap deal, just get him in, and yeah, just do that. But yeah, here so he's also gone on to say here, at a good price, he's an ideal centre back depth of right centre back and left centre back because he's 2-footed. So yeah, someone who's 2-footed, right, that can play left side, right side, that could be a good signing if you can get him on the cheap. Left side, right side, a bit of cover there. We've got Ben White, we've got Timber, Kiwior, Calafiori. You bring one more guy in who can do that. I think that's okay. I think that's fine. I'm not going to complain about that. It'll probably be a deal that can help Arsenal squad depth in terms of the back even more. Because at times, yeah, when Gabriel went down, Ben White wasn't really fit. Tomiyasu non-existent. Maybe we did need one more player in there. But as I said, for me as a fan, right, I'm watching Arsenal week in, week out, and I'm not thinking of signing new defenders unless we sign like an attacking fullback. Let's say if we signed Jeremy Frimpong that Liverpool signed recently, right? If we sign Jeremy Frimpong and he's someone who's going to offer that, down the right hand side, bombing up and down, offering something completely different to all of our other fullbacks, I would have been a bit more excited. But someone like this, he will come in, do a similar job to everyone else, and just help the depth. So I'm not going to sit here and be so over the moon about him, but hopefully he's a signing that can really, really help us, man. Yeah, man, big up, man. Big up all of you guys. Brush, man, my guy. Big up. Smack that like, folks, man. Yeah, 100%, man. Smack that like button for us people helping the channel grow as always. But yeah, let's just keep this party going. So we've done the defender, we've done Nico Williams, talk a little bit. Obviously, we talked about Gyokeres at the beginning. One more thing I want to talk about as well today is potentially Arsenal signing this guy called Johan Bakayoko. I believe he played against Arsenal maybe a couple times now. He's a decent player. But anyway, so you know what? I might even got my information mixed up. So you see the defender we were talking about a second ago, he might cost a bit more. It's Bakayoko who they were talking about £17 million. He's got 1 year left in his deal. So from ED Regio, I don't know what that is. But anyway, Arsenal interested in PSV Eindhoven winger Johan Bakayoko. The player is said to be available for just 17 million with just 1 year left on his contract. He's seen as a potential backup to Bukayo Saka. So this is another player that, for me, I'm not going to sit here from the few times I've watched. I'm not going to say, oh my god, he's he's gonna do the business for us. I would have been more excited if we went for an Mbeumo, who looks like now he could not even go to Man United. It looks like he's probably going to Tottenham Hotspur, which could be a massive, massive signing for them because, as I said, he can play right wing. We're talking about he can play false nine. He's a player that I think, obviously, 20 goals in the Premier League. I think that would have got me excited, right? And if he goes to Tottenham, I'm not going to be happy. But for £17 million, potential market opportunity, because now you bring in a Bakayoko, who he's a left-footed winger. Well, left-footed winger, plays obviously right-hand side. You know, he's someone who can do what Saka's doing, right? In terms of the same instructions, hug the touchline, cut inside. You know, if you can beat your man one-on-one, all of those sort of things that Saka does, we can ask him to do the same thing for £17 million. If you bring him in conjunction with Gyokeres up front and then Rodrygo on the left, I'm not complaining because in my opinion, we need three attackers. We need the right wing cover for Saka, we need the left wing superstar, and we need the gunman up front. You bring these players in, we've got a squad. We've got a squad that can win the Premier League. We've got a squad that can win the Champions League. This is what we're missing. So for me, I would be excited in terms of bringing this deal in if it means that we can get the other two positions sorted out as well. So that's how I look at this deal. And Bukayo Saka, watched him. Who did I watch him against? England were playing recently, right? I don't even. Who did England play? Senegal. They're playing Senegal. Saka looks tired, man. He looks tired, man. We talk about it all the time. Saka, he's been abused. He's my guy, but he has been abused. Like he's our most important player. He's our best player, but we have abused him. So he needs someone to help him and give him a chance to at least sit down for a few months even, man. I think he might need a bit longer just to be fully, because I don't want Saka at 60% is still better than most players, but I want Saka at 100%. That's gonna kill everyone every single game. I don't want this Saka that's kind of playing, not on the edge, but he's kind of, he's not really, you can tell he's not giving it his all because he can't. He's holding himself back. I don't want that Saka. I want the Saka that I see taking on players, being an absolute problem every single time he plays, goals and assists, but he needs to rest. And he needs someone like a Bakayoko to come in and potentially hit the ground running and just give him a bit of a chance to breathe. And you bring him in, with the likes of Rodrygo on the left, with the likes of Gyokeres up front. I think for me, we're starting to build something. So yeah, I don't know, guys. What's your take on this Bakayoko guy? Let me know what you think about him. It's all a bit mad, man. Did you hear about that Greek player that you want to sign? Yeah, I heard about that Greek player. Yeah, I'm not. I saw that Greek rumor. To be honest, I don't think it's true because even now, you look at this kid that's just signed from Man City. Let me bring him up. Nipan, whatever his name is. So we got Nipan here from Norway, who was meant to come to Arsenal. Somehow, all of a sudden, he is going to Man City. I think at the time, to be honest, right, you look at this kid here. So there's this kid here, Nipan. I don't know how to say his first name, so I'm not going to bother, right? So deal and medical has been booked on Monday. Top signing for Man City as Nipan, seen among his best European talents. He will cost 15 million euros. So we were linked to this kid, and in January, and he was going around City, he was going around Arsenal, he was going around a lot of teams in Europe, seeing what's the best development plan for him. And in the end, I think he went to Aston Villa as well. you know, he in the end. So anyway, he's gone back home to Norway. So he's gone home. Is it Norway? I think it's definitely. Is he Norwegian? I can't remember. He's Norwegian or Danish. Anyway, wherever he's gone back to, and he said, "Nah, I'm not signing for anyone," and that's it. I'm not signing. I'm gonna wait till the summer and then go with the best option. So this is the problem Arsenal have sometimes with trying to sign young players, even though this kid apparently is one of the best European talents and all of that, right? Is there a space for him to play at Arsenal Football Club next season? I don't think so. Right? Is he going to break into the first team? I don't think so. Like, if Noneri is struggling already to really break into the first team week in, week out, you bring in this guy as well, I think he's going to struggle. You've got Zubamendi, you've got Rice, you know that way Arteta likes to play, and then you got Odegaard. He would have struggled to get game time at the club, right? And not only would he have struggled to just get game time, I think the main thing with him, he would have struggled even finding a good loan. With Arsenal Football Club, you're not going to find a nice loan. We haven't got other clubs like Man City. We haven't got other clubs like Chelsea where you can go to Strasbourg, or you can go now, obviously, City, you can go to Girona and go develop your game. Arsenal Football Club can't offer that. So I think a lot of those sort of things are what's, you know, hindering Arsenal signing a lot of young players. I think for Arsenal had a situation where, you know, we brought a French club or we brought a Spanish team, and, you know, we had a bit of a partnership where, yeah, we can sign these players, and even if they don't play for us, no problem. They can go abroad. They can go and, you know, play in La Liga, go play in Ligue 1, and have a good team and, you know, actually develop their qualities there. I think maybe then we would sign more of these sort of players, right? But for Arsenal Football Club, it's always going to be difficult competing for top young players on the market, right? You know, with the likes of Man City, with the likes of Chelsea, because they've got the structure. Even teams like Leipzig, you're going to struggle to compete, you know, for young players, because they're looking at it like, listen, if I don't break into the Arsenal first team, am I going to even get a good loan? You know, historically, Arsenal not really good at we're not good at doing the loan thing. I can't think of many players who've gone on loan and it's actually been, you know, really beneficial for them. So I think that's a big reason as to why we haven't got this kid. But listen, he's a good player. Apparently, I've seen only highlights and compilations. Looked 2-footed. Didn't look like the quickest player, but technically looked really, really good. And I think Man City this summer, they focused on signing a lot of players with technical ability, the likes of Shirky, Ryan Diaz, Ait Nouri. Like, these are all very, very technical players. I think that's what Man City are looking for. They always look for these, you know, technical players anyway. But I think they're going all in on those sort of players. So yeah, Nipan here. Fair play to him. Fair play to him. We'll see what he does. We'll follow his progress if he becomes this player that everyone thinks he's going to be. But yeah, not coming to Arsenal Football Club. He looked like he was a player. He looked like he was coming to Arsenal at one point. But in the end, he's gone with the Man City project. And I think for him, gets maybe a loan to Girona, it makes sense. You go there, apply your trade, and then figure it out from there. But yeah, guys, man, let's see if there's anything else that we need to touch on today. Let me just double check. There's nothing new coming in from Arsenal Football Club in terms of Gyokeres, in terms of Sesko. As I said, it's been a bit quiet until today in terms of the links. Obviously, we're not going to hear links every single day. The likes of Liverpool are making moves. The likes of Man City are making moves, it feels like, every single day. But Arsenal Football Club, it's a slow burn. But I think at some point, things will start falling into place and it will just take one big move from us. And hopefully from then, I think once we figure out which striker we're getting, I think from then we might be in a good position to potentially move for that winger. And then if we can get this Bakayoko kid and he can be 17 million, you know, he can come and help Saka, I think that's something that we should do as well, just because of the price and his quality. Like, he's done it at a good level. He's done it, you know, in Europe as well. He's a decent player. I'm not saying he's going to come in and absolutely hit the ground running and he's going to be an absolute superstar. I'm not saying that. But for the price, for his attributes, I think it's a good deal. But then you put the big resources in Gyokeres, you put the big resources in the likes of Rodrygo as well. But yeah, guys, man, I think we'll just leave it there for today. I don't think there's too much else to talk about for me. I'm more than happy with developments so far. Zubamendi hopefully will get announced at some point. They were saying July. So what we are now, 15th of June, we're halfway through the month, so maybe another 2 weeks, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see Zubimendi announced. Kepa, I'm not excited for Kepa, but hopefully he just sits on the bench. Raya stays fit, and yeah, maybe the centre back will come in from Lille. We get Gyokeres, we get Sesko. I don't know which one we're gonna get, and then we go and sign that big winger. We need one statement signing, Rodrygo. Bring him in, and then yeah, you go get a Bakayoko. I think now we've got a squad. We're ready to go again for the next season. We've actually, I think we'll be in a good position just because Marino has shown he can help us up front. Havertz, absolutely don't rate him, but he's still there. Jesus, he'll be fit at some point. Maybe offer us a little something, something. You never know. Trossard's not leaving. Martinelli's still there. The squad is getting stronger, but we're gonna have to be a bit patient to see how it all falls in terms of the domino effect, so to speak. But anyway, guys, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. It's been a quick stream, but yeah, man, we'll be back with you guys hopefully very soon with some new news on Arsenal Football Club. And yeah, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button, and make sure, yeah, tell a friend to tell a friend. Take care. Yeah, peace.